Good morning, Derek Ford. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Mark. How are you?
Excellent. It's kind of a shitty day in Victoria, but at least it's not snowing.
It's a
Yeah,
typical West Coast wet day.
exactly.
I could
Exactly.
say wet.
Derek, you and I have known each other the entire time that I've been here, so about 6 years. I remember you and I met when you were actually doing the on the scene photography for a conference that I was speaking at, organized by our friend Chris Burge, Social Media Camp.
That's right. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and we've sort of danced in and out of each other's sort of periphery, but I really wanted to have you on the show. You know what the Brand DIY group's all about, and I believe that your image that you're creating for the world is probably the most important thing we have going for us. Even more important now that we can't see each other in person. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me on.
All right, big question, technology. You and we talked about this before the show, but you and I started in the game when there was still, things moved at a little bit of a slower pace. I know that I was a writer and I had a week to craft copy for an ad. And, you know, you used to win awards and stuff for excellent copy and headlines. And I used to sweat it so that all the words lined up and wrapped around images and there were no widowed paragraphs and everything was headline caliber. So it was really good words. And now I talk to creative directors and they go, it's just a factory. It's a sweatshop, man. We need to do, 50 tweets a day and 20 Facebook posts. And it's like Gary Vaynerchuk has created this living hell for people who create messages. And he says, you got to create 60 pieces of content a day. And I'm just like, oh my God, the world has changed. So reflecting back to you, photography, man, you came from a world where pictures were respected. And now we all got these things and we can go out and snap a picture and post it and we feel obligated to. So we're all amateur photographers now. Thoughts on that?
Well, I think um, that there's an opportunity. I think as a middle road. I think that there's room for both. I think that the beauty and the power of a well-crafted ad still exists. I think that we see that regularly where campaigns go viral, whether it's Oreo at the Super Bowl, different print ads and that sort of thing. I think that won't ever go away. I think that the other side of that then is the opportunity that's opened up for the average small business person. I know that when I started in business some time ago, in another iteration, I had to craft the ads by doing a lot of cutting and pasting to lay out my
Mhm.
kerning and my my leads. And now, we have these remarkable tools that are available to us where, we can get a certain amount of graphic design going. We've got, fonts available to us. We're able to take it to do it all on our phone, straight
Yeah.
onto the photograph without even having a standalone computer. So I think that that opportunity is wonderful for the small business and for the business that's growing and needs something a little bit more specialized and a little bit more concise and is spending bigger ad dollars for placement. That those opportunities still exist for great, well crafted ads as well too.
Hmm. But now photography, we're all shooting our own pictures.
Mhm.
Um, what is the difference? I mean, what value do you bring as a professional photographer, videographer, at a time when everybody's going, I can do it myself?
Sure. So I think that one of the comments that we hear a lot would be the idea of for a small business person who's starting out. I can understand, as a grassroots, when I first started my marketing, I wanted to do everything myself until I got to the point where, just the nature of the growth of my business got to the point where that I didn't have the time, available to do that so much. So I needed to start doing some advertising. And then I think for the small business person, it's the same sort of scenario. When you're starting out and you have the time and the wherewithal to plan out a campaign or to think about what the messages you want to take to send out there, and you have the time to take 300 photographs in order to get that one that's going to really work for you, that you're going to be really happy with. then go to it. I mean, that's wonderful, and you'll learn and you'll continue to grow, and eventually, you'll get your processes down. I think that the advantage of hiring a professional is, first of all, if you are time poor, which most entrepreneurs are, I can come in, or we come in with an idea of content, dialing down, it to the essentials of what you need, planning the shoot time, planning, if you need models, what is the message you want to send, and in the same amount of time, give you a small package of content rather than just a single image with yourself sort of, running around trying to wear too many hats. So I think the advantage of a professional is being able to work with you to define what the goals are of the advertising and the marketing that you want to do.
Mhm.
Help put it into a package that's effective and efficient in terms of your time, and in terms of the amount of time and resources that we need to have for the campaign.
Mhm. Is craft going away? Because I look at it and I go, if you create something with craft, a really solid concept, well executed, it will stand out. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that craft is going away. I think that like anything, I think it's evolving. I think that there is listen, I see a lot of content all the time that's made by people who are starting out, and there's some incredible ideas, and certainly in certain instances, I take those ideas as well too and adapt them to a commercial setting, because I think that for the enthusiast who's interested in making great photographs, let's say without even marketing, just as a creative, there's the skies are the limits. It's really great to see what people are able to create with an idea. I think that the advantage of craft is being able to take those ideas that are effective and that people love aesthetically, in a
Mhm.
photograph, and then applying that in a commercial sense, where we're able to tie in those beautiful aesthetics, with an underlying message, or with with communicating a service or a product.
Right. Photography, video. I told you before the show, I'm not a videographer, but I'm shooting video because what I discovered, one, that if you can hold a camera steady and you can ask the right questions, people will tell stories, and folks love stories. So I don't need to have, a $10,000 camera and a huge light setup to get a good story, as long as I got a good little microphone so I can get the audio. And the second part is that I'm doing it because not only is it easier than it used to be, because when I was shooting commercials, it wasn't even in the realm of the possible. We couldn't do it. It wasn't physically possible for me to go and shoot a video, because you'd need a 35 or 16 mil cam, and hundreds of thousands of dollars of gear to make anything happen. So it's just out of the realm of the possible. Today, it's totally possible, but more important, clicks. What I discovered is when I started putting videos on websites where people were telling these stories, people love seeing people. And what are your thoughts? Photography versus videography. I'm finding that the videos are just stellar. They're awesome in this field
Yeah,
for putting a
absolutely.
message out.
Absolutely. I think that they both have a place. I think that in the last, I think it's about 5 years ago, Facebook particularly changed their algorithm, where videos started getting much more clicks. Video engagement skyrocketed. And I think it was around the time too when Instagram started allowing video, and they had originally like a 20-second time limit, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
15-second time limit on Instagram video. And so they changed the algorithm, and what the algorithm did was, if somebody was watching your video for a certain amount of time, then they determined that obviously you were serving up good content, which meant then that you were going to get served up a lot more in the feeds. You were
Mm-hmm.
going to get more engagement. So video definitely gave you that opportunity. Now the workaround for photography is that we've actually found then too that if you, in an Instagram post, let's say for example, you include 4 photographs and you can get swiped through on those 4 photographs, you can get the same, results in terms of your engagement with video.
Really? I didn't know that.
There you go.
Because I always heard the swipe through thing is actually something that doesn't help. That on websites at least that it doesn't help. But what do I know? I just sort of figured out how to use this whole radio thing, and now they've gone beyond radio apparently.
There you go. So yeah, with a post, an Instagram post about 4 to 5 photographs, if you're getting people that are swiping to see the next photograph, that is holding them on your content for a certain amount of time, again, determining that you're serving up good content and you'll feature in the feeds. So they do have, they do both have a place. And I think that, video is great for social media. I think that as well too, to give you, your due as well too, you've got a great engaging program, you've got great content. As we said, that there's, certain content sometimes that you kind of watch a few seconds of and you think this is not going to hold my attention, and so you go right away on to the next. And one of the workarounds I think that we've also seen too is this idea of putting captions on, because at least if you can start to serve up the audio so that people aren't necessarily having to hear the video, they'll delay a little longer, again giving you a better algorithm result. So that's on the social media end. Now, of course, on the web, on your website, great photography is great photography. And I think that when people are viewing your site, as you're scrolling through, sort of any pages of content that you have, to have a nice visual to go along with that, is going to help people, again, linger on your content, linger your page, look through your products and your photos. And video obviously can serve a purpose on a website as well. But so I think that it's really about, where you are and where you're serving the content up, and which one is more appropriate. I think that, photography still has a good place in terms of telling your brand story, and in some cases can be a more cost-effective solution than crafting, a 2.5-minute video to go on your website. It's a good place to start. I have, clients that come, a lot of times they want photography and video, they want a quote for both, and they want to create it both. And then ultimately, if the budgets don't necessarily meet it, then it's the video that we say, you know what, we'll shelve that. We'll come back to that. Let's get the photography going, because the photography will stand. Whereas a video,
Yeah, video is one of those things. It's fleeting, right? It's got a shelf life. Photography doesn't. That's why I'm still using my photos from when I was 20 years old.
Pardon me?
That's why I'm still using photos from when I was 20 years old, Everybody still thinks I look like that. One of my friends, Paul Lang, he ran the digital division of Gray when I was building up the agency. And then he moved back to Vancouver and he became the unphotographer at a company called the Orange Apple. And what it was basically building images from the ground up that looked exactly like photos. Now, I know, having been on a lot of photo shoots, like car shots, watch shots, stuff like that, getting those things right is, you might as well just shoot yourself. It's so hard to get them right. And so I can appreciate, image manipulation and creating stuff from the ground up. Craft versus manipulation, quality photography, quality imagery versus image manipulation. Do you see it going all the way towards just 100% manipulated images, or do you think that there's always going to be a foundation in the actual photo?
Well, I think that there's there's place for both, right? I think that the strength of street photography, there's still a great movement in street photography and development happening there. And that's that natural kind of like capture the moment image. That's not going to go anywhere. That definitely in certain campaigns and in certain customers' requirements, capturing that moment and making it look natural, all the lifestyle photography, right? Of visual comes to mind. The woman with the straw hat and the sun, shining down on her and her hair blowing as she stands on a beach or in a field. That type of thing is definitely craft, right? There's some manipulation that we can do if the day isn't great, or there's hair blowing across her face. Then definitely, we have those tools that we didn't have when we were shooting film.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the craft is the craft, and that fundamentals are so important. It goes back to our earlier point, which is taking 300 photographs as opposed to one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then image manipulation, that's wonderful. There's definitely, a lot of compositing that we can do nowadays. There's a lot of things that we can do. However, you still have to start from a foundation of understanding, how am I lighting this product so that when I start doing my compositing, it's still going to all make sense and not look fake. I think that if you've probably seen the examples of where you see people who have been photographed in one place and they've been superimposed onto a background. The sweet spot there is that they shouldn't look like they're not of the background. When they're put into a cityscape or they're put into a street scene, that compositing needs to be well thought out, and it needs to look realistic. Otherwise, they're essentially a cut and paste, and yeah, personally not my aesthetic.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to switch gears. That was all about where the world is going. Now we have a whole bunch of entrepreneurs and founders, and they're in this group. And I want to give them some advice that they can take home. And the first place I want to start, we are all sitting on these cameras now, a couple hours a day, having meetings. Advice to entrepreneurs and founders who have to be on a Zoom meeting, because God, we see some awful stuff. I see stuff, it's the crotch cam where somebody's laying on the sofa and they got the computer down here and they're looking down at you. Mm-hmm. Or it's sort of askew, or they've got the witness protection program thing going on, where they're shooting against the window, and it doesn't help you. Mm-hmm. But I think that people could really use some solid advice from a professional. What are 3 things you should pay attention to before you get on that next Zoom call?
I think lighting is very important. So that's a consideration. I think your environment is very important, would be the secondary consideration. And the third,
I'll tell you what the third one is.
Okay.
That's the third one.
Sound. But just to where technology is, I think the sound's probably pretty good, that I'm transmitting right now. And I'm just on an iMac.
No, you actually sound really good. But again, I think that comes down to, you've got a background with some curtains in it.
Yeah.
You've got bookshelves. And so I work in audio a lot, and I know that these things are all natural sound dampers. I'm in a concrete bunker here, and it sounds like a concrete bunker. So you get a bit of a cheat on the microphone. I think it helps. Or the earbuds I see journalists using the earbuds all the time.
Definitely. And
they work great.
I did bring mine today because I wasn't sure whether, again, a lot of background noise. So I did consider the background noise, of course, but I knew that my audio wasn't a problem. But I did spend some time this morning, looking at what's in the background, how are things set up. I've got, I've got some different bounce reflectors here that are, evening out shadows in my face. And, I've got some proper studio lights. The average person doesn't have that, but there's small DIY kind of, fixes that you can do with that, whether it's a house light,
Oh, hold on.
There you go.
Amazon, $30. These things, I find these things are a modern day miracle. Just to throw some evening light on you, oh my God, look at that. I could have been so much better looking for this, but they come with these clamp-on things so you can attach them to your computer. You throw one of these things on, they've got a battery on the back. You can set the light to warm or cool.
That's right.
Intense or not so intense. And even with that, just that little short thing that I just did, I'm like, crap, why didn't I do that? That would have been so easy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, lighting is a big consideration. You know, your sound is a big consideration, and your environment, as you say. You know, shooting into a window. You know, does it look aesthetically, you know, pleasing? And I think that you know, I think the comment that you made actually when we were talking before was just the idea that it's almost like you're on video. It's almost like I'm shooting a corporate video. You know what? I'm going to look at what those details are. You know, do I sound good? Am I properly lit? And is the background distracting? You know, do I have something that's, you know, entering the frame that's cutting into the middle of my head or in the background, or are there, you know, are my kids going to walk in, kind of thing? You know, which, you know, obviously we all have some acceptance over now. We've seen some anchors that have had those situations, but you know, it's just those kind of considerations, right? We're not in a coffee shop, you know, like we used to meet, let's say, where we didn't have that kind of control over the environment. But certainly as a photograph, you know, it should look pretty well, pretty clean.
I agree. I agree. Now I'm gonna surprise you with this last thing I want to talk about. You've got a group of entrepreneurs and founders. Would you consider doing a workshop for these folks? I don't know. Some of them are in Victoria. Some of them they could maybe you could strap the Blair Witch camera onto you so you're walking around like this. But I wonder if there would be a workshop that you could provide, or if you do provide, where you walk people through setting up their space or doing DIY photography for their company. Is there anything that you do like that? And if not, why not? And let's get started.
I think that you've put the gauntlet down on the table. I think that absolutely, yeah. I think that sounds exciting. I would definitely be interested in doing a workshop.
Cool.
I think the idea would be to look and see what the common thread is to start with, as far as what people's you know, concerns or questions, or where they need the help, and if we get a common theme that would benefit the most amount of people, then let's do that.
You know what? I'm going to put this video up, and when I put it up, I'm going to put a poll with it, and I'm going to ask people what the image problem is that they have and what they could use coaching on. And maybe on Brand DIY, we can have some 15-minute quick tips from Derek Ford on how to fix this or fix that, or, you know, not look like quite the douchebag. So I think everybody could use the help, you know?
Fantastic. Yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to do that.
Awesome. Well, I greatly appreciate, you know, you being so nice about me suckering you into, because just so everybody knows, I did not ask you this question before we talked. This is a complete surprise.
Well,
But I
I'm
was saving it
grateful
up. I
that
thought, how can I jump one on Derek?
I'm grateful that you know me well enough that you felt confident to do that. So yeah, with gratitude, and of course, yeah, I'd love to help out.
Okay, let's do that. So we'll maybe we'll give a little bit of warning, and I'll put a poll out to see what the question is, the number one thing that folks want help with, and we'll put something together with you.
Sure, sounds good.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And again, where do people get a hold of you?
Derek Ford.
Obviously here, if you type in DEREKFORD, you're going to pop up so they can ask questions, but it's DerekFordPhotography.com?
DerekFord.com. Yeah.
DerekFord.com.
Yeah, I'm also available on Instagram, which is just Derek Ford is another good place. And
Okay.
of course, Facebook.
Awesome, amigo. You have yourself a good day. Stay dry.
Fantastic. Thanks so much,
Thank
Mark.
you. Bye.